Welcome to the New Leaf podcast, and on today's episode I'm joined by a really interesting character, Chris Sykes, who's recently started a business in financial services. He's been employed for a long time, but now has moved to self-employment, so we're going to hear about the challenges he's faced in doing that.
I don't think I would have done it from day one. I think I wasn't mature enough, I didn't have the experience, and even back then you could even feel some age discrimination working with clients and then being like, who's this sort of child advising me, a 50-year-old on a mortgage? What do they know about mortgages?
We're going to hear how New Leaf have helped in that journey.
A lot of networks built for a normal broker. We went with yourselves because you have a huge access to market. I'd probably even say I'm rivaling in the network space.
And we're also going to hear from how he's leveraged the media to really build social proof around himself personally to build his brand.
Responded to one thing and then the snowball just starts rolling. And what I try to do in the media is be a bit of a voice of reason. Mortgages aren't taught in schools. And a lot of the things that you see in the press are very scary to borrowers. I sometimes, when clients sort of return to me after their fixed rates and things, often they'll say, "Oh, Chris, I've loved what you've been saying in the press." And you don't realise, but clients follow it. So if you do get the opportunity to comment in the press, it's really good.
Listen in and enjoy the episode. Hi, Chris. Welcome to the New Leaf podcast. Great to have you on today. How are you doing?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on. I'm doing excellently, thank you.
Obviously today you're here speaking about your business, MSP Financial Solutions, but you've gone on a bit of a journey to get here, and obviously previously you were employed, and now you've set up your own business with your business partners, Donnie and Mike. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to go back to the beginning first. Like, what made you get into financial services in the first instance?
Yeah, so I did a degree in business and finance, and as part of that degree, you had the opportunity to do a placement year, which is effectively a year in industry between your second and third year to effectively get you into a workplace early, give you kind of a step above other graduates when you do come to finishing. And I applied to lots of different firms like Microsoft and Google and all these exciting firms, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I know I wanted to do business and finance, but that's not really a job. So I've kind of fell into working with a mortgage broker one-on-one, a one-man band who really is where I cut my teeth in the industry. And it was a great opportunity that year, learning really feet on the ground, understanding, and I really started to enjoy mortgages, which is not really something you necessarily think of.
Well, in your young 20s, like, oh yeah, I just love mortgages.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So I kind of fell into it there, and then with it while doing my final year of my degree, did CMAP on my own, and then I started off as soon as I finished uni, went straight into a firm on an employed basis who trained me up further and helped me develop my skills and really let me learn the trade and develop myself.
I mean, would you say that's a good idea for someone who's quite young coming into it? So when you started industry, you would have been, what, 20 years old? Yeah,
so 21, something like that. It was a great way for me to cut my teeth, to start learning complex cases, and it was, I started in a firm that really gave me the opportunity to grow as an advisor, so it was a good way for me to get into the industry. It's by far no means the only way to get into the industry, but it was a really valuable way for me to.
And now you've got this business, like we said, MSP Financial Solutions. I believe it stands for your initials for your surnames.
Mawson, Sykes and Perrin.
That's right. So the three guys together, and you all worked together, actually, didn't you? And you've built that business now from being friends and colleagues over the years. Obviously, a big deal, isn't it?
It's a huge jump.
Yeah.
It's a huge jump, and for me, it was kind of the natural progression in my career. I always have friends poke fun at me for sort of my entrepreneurial spirit through the years, selling sweets in school, and then going from there to as soon as I could, washing cars in the summer, to as soon as I got my national insurance number, starting work on weekends. And I fortunately picked up a job in a Michelin star restaurant as my first sort of proper job and on weekends. And that teaches you hard work. They work very hard.
Which you need in this industry, because if you're setting up a business from scratch, especially, I know you've got experience, but it's still a big deal to go from employed to self-employed.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's possible. Well, it might be, but if you were looking back at when you were 21 starting out, would you have done that from day one?
I don't think I would have done it from day one. I think I wasn't mature enough. I didn't have the experience. And even back then, you could even feel some age discrimination working with clients, and then being like, who's this sort of child advising me, a 50-year-old on a mortgage? What do they know about mortgages?
Yeah, sure.
There's always a saying of how do you work in mortgages if you don't have one?
Yeah.
So it really gave me the opportunity to cut my teeth. But then I think even in my initial job interview, I said one day I want to be a business owner. Yeah. And I've said that throughout my career. I want to be a business owner. I want to grow my own thing and work for myself. And now I'm lucky enough to be doing that.
And with this new company, MSP, what, about 6-7 months in now with New Leaf?
We're only 4 months in. It's been a fantastic journey so far.
Yeah, so you obviously were looking for places to set your business up, and you decided to go the network route.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've had a relationship for many years. I've known you around the circuit, so to speak. And I was really happy, to hear that you'd chosen us. But what made you choose New Leaf? Because there's lots of options. Would have been lots of options for you.
Yeah, there are so many options, and we spoke to a lot of different networks. And a lot for us is because of the types of cases we see, the lenders that we could work with were one of the most important things to us. Yeah. So quite frankly, I spoke to a lot of networks and kind of described what might be a typical case for me and my clients. Yeah. And some of them were, you could just see in their faces that they didn't get it. If I had explained to a bog standard network what an asset slice is, they just wouldn't understand it. It's like, is that showing on the tax returns? It's like, no, that's not what we're getting at here.
They try and pull the wool over your eyes, say, oh yeah, we can probably do that. And then you get there and it's like, no, we can't help you.
Exactly. So there's a lot of networks built for a normal broker. So a brokerage that uses 20, 30 lenders a year, that's the high street names that everyone's heard of, and then maybe does 1 or 2 very complex lenders a year. But we went with yourselves because you have a huge access to market. Yeah. I'd probably even say I'm rivaling in the network space. Yeah. It is very much like being directly authorized. Yeah. And then something that we hadn't actually considered when joining New Leaf is the support you get as well. Yeah. We joined for the lenders and because we knew you and loved the sort of family side of things and how you're all connected in one way or another.
It's a bit weird.
Well, it's not weird because it's obviously a really good place to work and it's nice to work with people that enjoy where they work. But yeah, then since then, the support we've had from you guys has been really good. I mean, yesterday, for example, I was on 2 different video calls with yourselves. Yesterday, one with Ying Tang.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Obviously came on an owner of another mortgage business in the market, right. But kind enough to give us some of his time to talk about how we can grow as businesses and individuals. So the collaboration within the industry there, but then also just sort of getting pumped on a Monday morning, and within that learning some marketing strategies.
Yeah, I thought that guy on the SEO and the website development, and some of the simple strategies are worth looking at, weren't they? Look, going forward then, obviously you've got this amazing platform. Mm-hmm. You are able to access different lenders or all the lenders you want anyway, at least. And you're based in your company's primarily based in London, isn't it? Yeah. So your clientele is more London-based, London-centric, sort of that high net worth sometimes, but also I guess you have quite complicated cases that might not be easy for, I guess you call a vanilla mortgage broker. Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly it. We specialize in the complex. We do mortgages for anyone, anywhere. Well, I say anywhere in the UK. The property needs to generally be in the UK. But yeah, we generally specialize in the more high net worth clients, more complex circumstances, really taking into account, for example, people that don't have any income, but using assets that they have in the background to justify the lending one way or another.
So could you give us an example of a client that you've helped recently,
Yeah.
just to sort of give us some context on that?
Yeah, of course. So I love a complex case, and sometimes those cases go through other brokers and can't be placed. So I have one particular example relatively recently that was a portfolio landlord.
Okay.
They have a lot of properties, mixed residential, so buy-to-lets, commercial properties. They also have like large blocks of garages that's for future development opportunities. So their income is complex. There were trust elements. There were various companies. There are various projects ongoing. So their income might be very high in some years because they might have sold several properties that they built, and low in other years. So cash flow was a major consideration on this one because most lenders sort of couldn't see how we could justify the lend on a monthly basis. So I approached lots of lenders on this, and the specialist building societies we approached on this. And funny enough, I placed it in a certain way with a specialist building society using a pre-fund facility.
Okay,
So
cool.
where the client effectively put enough money in an account with that building society to service the mortgage for a period of 3 years, which was the mortgage term as well.
Yeah.
And effectively, the mortgage is paid out of that account so that it's bought outside of their affordability on a monthly basis.
Nice.
And I later found out that another broker had actually submitted an application with the same lender.
Right.
I only found that out after application because I didn't give the client's name until after I applied.
With the same client?
The same client, same lender.
Okay.
And they said, we declined it with that other broker because of the way you've pitched it to us being the only way this is possible.
Wow. Okay. That's amazing.
Yeah. So it's just complex deals and finding a way to do them and using our knowledge of the industry and our contacts in the industry, because our contacts are so important to us, all of the different lenders we work with. Really having those lender relationships is what gives you access to some of these complex cases.
I mean, that client then must have been a quite awkward conversation when you found out about that. But obviously, in the end, you've shown the other broker up as well.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't get past, the other broker didn't get past decision in principle stage. So the client didn't actually really, which was a bit naughty, he didn't actually realise it had gone to that lender before.
Oh, okay.
But then, we made it through and all successfully.
So you mentioned lender relationships being really important to you and then the guys. I've seen on LinkedIn, obviously, I see posts and you're meeting different BDMs.
I'm always out for a meal or other.
He's having a great time, you know. Your friends are thinking, what is this job? I want to do this job now. Well, I thought it was a joke when he was 20. But, you know, it's like, there's a nice social element to it, obviously. But the point is, you're meeting BDMs. You think that's important. Why? Yeah. What's the value in a broker really spending time with their BDMs? I know a lot of brokers who sometimes the attitude can be a little bit different. It's like, no BDM calling me. I can't be bothered to talk to them or whatever. But it's something that we've seen on some of the successful people in this podcast have been talking about. Lender relationships being almost as important as a client relationship. So your thoughts on that would be great.
Yeah, so BDMs are your biggest advocate within a bank or building society or private bank, whatever they might be. They're your biggest advocate. And knowing them and building trust with them is incredibly important because they can get used to you as a broker and understand that the quality of business you're bringing them is high and that there is a way to do the deal, else you probably wouldn't have taken it on as a broker because you would have already sort of weaseled out if there were elements that wouldn't work. So having those relationships, both with business development managers, national account managers, even down to I've got the numbers of some CEOs and COOs of different building societies that really, if anything hits the fan, I can pick up the phone to. So I find it incredibly important because then you've got people casting eyes over your cases as they go in, but also those are the people that know the ins and outs of the lender. They'll know the appetite. And also when you spend that time with them, you'll learn things that you can do as a broker that you might not have known because they are the ones that get the complex cases. So I will be learning from other brokers' cases as well because they'll be sharing them with me. And then I'll know next time. So, for example, if somebody has an annex and they want to let it or Airbnb it, well, loads of lenders won't do that. But then you'll pick up that really niche bit of criteria that a lender will do. And it might go to somebody quite vanilla as a lender, but that just has that hidden niche bit of criteria and allows you to do a case potentially a lot cheaper than another broker, for example.
Yeah. And I mean, going from that, obviously, you picked up some really good growth and tips and things, because you're learning from that, aren't you? Obviously yourself. So over the years, I suppose that's been really helpful, because now you get a client coming in to you now, and you probably have an idea roughly where you could probably place it before you even start researching.
That's it. And I don't do it for this, but some lenders introduce me clients as well where they can't help.
Yeah.
They then refer it to me because they know I can help.
Do you think as well, partly your reputation is quite well received in the industry, not just because you're building relationships with lenders, but you are well known also in the media as well, and there's that social proof element to your work, in the sense that you're being quoted quite regularly in some of the major publications like the nationals. So I know you're in the Telegraph, Times, FT quite often. That must be a difficult thing to get into. I mean, how did you do that exactly?
Do you know what? It actually wasn't as difficult as I thought. I kind of fell into it, as you often do in life. I kind of responded to one thing, and this is probably 6 or 7 years ago, something like that. But responded to one thing, and then the snowball just starts rolling. And what I try to do in the media is be a bit of a voice of reason, because there's a lot of people out there that are just in the press to be that headline. To be brokers say this about mortgage rates. Whereas there's a lot more nuance to these sorts of things. There's some journalists I won't work with, for example, because I feel my fingers have been burnt with them by them sort of trying to grab a headline out of something I've said. We've spent 20 minutes on the phone and they've used one sentence that didn't have any context. Right. So I try to be that more voice of reason, because mortgages aren't taught in schools. And a lot of the things that you see in the press are very scary to borrowers. So having more of a voice of reason there, I think, is incredibly important to the clients that I work with.
And how do you leverage that those comments that you make that go into the press? How do you leverage that from a marketing perspective?
Probably not as well as I should. As ever, there's always a million things to do, and growing a brand, growing a brokerage. But I think having it there for your clients to read through, sharing it on socials, etc., is very important, because quite frankly, I'm sharing the words that I believe in. So if I share it on my socials and things like that as well, it gets the message out further.
I can imagine there's a credibility, positivity from this, because if a client was to find out or see, or you shared that you were quoted the Times that week, and then you're seeing them, I can't see that as being negative at all. In terms of the client be thinking, wow, that's really cool, especially when you're comparing yourself to another broker. They're looking at someone else who's not being quoted. It's that old sort of story of credibility, really. But I think even on LinkedIn as well, these things, like the way people put their job titles and things can be impactful. And I think we went to a session together where the guy was saying, clients would literally look at, all the people will call themselves financial planners. And if everyone's called a financial planner, how do you distinguish between them? And someone might put a chartered financial planner, and the client would immediately think, well, they must be better then. So I think there's definitely a benefit to being the one they go to, the press especially.
It's quite. I sometimes, when clients sort of return to me after their fixed rates and things, often they'll say, "Oh, Chris, I've loved what you've been saying in the press," and you don't realise, but clients follow it. So if you do get the opportunity to comment in the press, it's really good. I had once a client approach an introducer of mine. They came from that introducer. I spoke to them and everything, and then the introducer forwarded me an email from the client that said, "Did you know your mortgage broker's famous?" And because she had read about me in the FT a few times, and I found that quite funny, because I'm by no means famous, but it's nice to have that opinion out there sometimes.
I think you got to take it. Being a famous person in mortgages, that's
maybe that should be my LinkedIn title, actually.
Maybe, that will stand out, won't it? Okay, so going back to your business, we've got you, Donnie, and Mike.
Yes.
And making up the three amigos as part of MSP.
Funny enough, one of our WhatsApp chats was the three amigos.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, obviously, all very experienced and come from different, levels of background and so on, different ages as well. Obviously, you can cover a lot of clients together. How have you found it that moving into a business together? What, from being colleagues to now being business owners?
Brilliant. Absolutely loving it so far. we are a really good team who we each bring a different skill set to the table. So because of different types of cases, different roles that we've each had in the past, it's been fantastic working with Donnie and Mike. And I can only see it growing over time as well. And as we take on staff and grow the business, we want to build a fantastic culture of, quite frankly, just nice people and hard workers. Because if you're nice and you're hard work, you're 9/10 of the way there in any job, really. And it's been fantastic so far. The wealth of knowledge in the room with us three is fantastic, and we want to sort of utilize that to grow the business further and pass that knowledge on to other people as well.
And for potential clients listening in today, what's your main USP for a client coming to see you?
Yeah, it's working in complex circumstances. And I know a lot of brokers will say that, but it's using our lender relationships to do cases that other brokers can't, especially if there's a lot of wealth in the background, which is really where we start to excel. Often people don't need mortgages, but they want mortgages. So I've had clients with tens of millions in the bank, but they want to borrow as much as possible because they don't want to withdraw that from a company and have a tax liability of 40% or so. They might want to. In previous years, they might not want to bring money into the UK when the domicile rules were different. There's all sorts of reasons to get debt, even if you don't necessarily need it, because mortgages are comparatively cheap to taxes and to a lot of other lines of finance that people get.
Just talking about sort of your operational change now as well, being a business owner, what's the one thing you've done that's really made a difference in your new business?
I think we're only 4 months in, so we're really trying to get off the ground. We're doing fantastically well so far.
Really well.
You've seen the figures there. It's
pretty good.
We're hitting the ground running. We're ahead of where we scheduled ourselves to be. It's nice that we hadn't expected to pay ourselves for the first 6 months, and we've already been able to pay ourselves several times over.
Brilliant.
It's because of the low barriers to entry in the industry, using networks like yourself to capitalize on that. But yeah, we're just learning every day. We're trying to change our processes so that we're integrating protection conversations in from day one. Where in the past we kind of just referred it off to somebody that did protection. And really spending a lot of time with clients, adding value by really educating clients. And then it's really about what the future holds, how we can integrate things like AI into our processes to help the client journey be better, but also reduce admin load on our side, things like that.
Spend more time giving advice.
That's it. And I think advice is the main thing, because there's so many brokerages out there that effectively are just sourcing systems themselves,
basically,
and they don't. I mean, I had an example last week where a client had forwarded me what they'd been sent by another broker. And they were like 2-year fix, 5-year fix. It was a broker they originally did the mortgage with, and they didn't even speak to the client when quoting them for this next set of terms.
That's poor, isn't it?
So then I got on the phone to them and I sort of said, look, what are your intentions? What are your plans over the next few years? And just went into a full fact find with them. And they were looking to move in the next 12 months. So if they locked into a 5-year, and they were looking to do a major upgrade when they moved as well. So locking into a 5-year fixed just is nonsensical. And it's really, that is not advice. That is taking an execution from a client and doing it for them.
Excellent. We're really happy that you're with New Leaf. And there's the tagline of this podcast, Chris, is turning over a new leaf in financial advice. So we're asking every guest as part of the podcast is, what's the one new leaf you're turning over in your business right now?
Well, I think we have turned the leaf by opening the business is definitely one of them. That's quite a good
answer,
But focusing on protection, focusing how we can scale the company, and we can build this into something really exciting for the future. Just growing from here, and obviously being able to do things like open up a financial planning arm or wealth advice arm, things like that, to really grow the business in a lot of different directions.
Yeah, brilliant. For clients listening in and people listening in, where can they find out more about your business?
You can Google us. So our website's mspfinancial.co.uk. We're on LinkedIn as a company, as individuals, and yeah, we're happy to chat to anyone.
Thanks for coming on the podcast today, Chris.
Thanks for having me.